We're going to move into the final topic, and we're going to welcome in our good buddy, our good pal, our longtime patron, our guy out in the East Coast, John, joining us as patron. You could join us on patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast if you want to be on a podcast. John, how's it going?
Everything's well. I'm just dealing with this cold weather, trying to adapt and get ready for the season.
Yeah, and John was a little upset with us, too, because we asked him a question that we were going to talk about today, and then he was like, oh, you guys are getting early intel. So John, let's just get it out in the open. We're talking about best young core in the NBA right now, and you already gave us your answer, but who you got for best?
Can we set the parameters up front just so everybody knows who's listening?
Right. The parameters for the best young core means best amount of players or best players that are currently on rookie deals. Yep. So, John, with the parameters set and with us already knowing your answer, who do you have as the best young core in the NBA?
I'm going with the Hawks. I think Trae Young's a superstar. Collins, I don't think he might not be a superstar, but he's playing big. And they have Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter. I think that those four together, they're going to make some trouble and compete for championships in the future.
And they still do have Bruno Fernando and Kevin Huerter.
Well, and here's the thing too, and John, see, the reaction would have been better if Dave didn't screw up. But
fuck you.
What we talked about earlier was why the Hawks are struggling, and you said when we asked you that, it's two different conversations. So why do you think the Hawks are struggling now? But why do you still have faith that they can be one of the better younger cores, in the future?
I think Cam Reddish is a wild card. I'm a Cam Reddish faith believer. I think he has extreme talent in this league. I don't know if they're struggling. I think they're probably, plateauing to what their actual potential is. They had a strong start. I think, as the season progresses, people learning how to defend them. Maybe the shots aren't falling, like they were. Collins was out for a while. But I think long term, in 2 or 3 years, I think Reddish is going to be one of the top young players in the league.
Thank you. I absolutely love that take because I am with you 100%.
Of course you love that take.
Well, we dug into it a little bit earlier, and Sean, was on the I'm so sick of playing the wait for Cam Reddish to do something game. His shot's never been there, and I agree. His shot's slowly getting there. I think with rookies, the thing to keep in mind is you have to check out the progression at a much smaller scale because there's less games played. So month by month in the NBA is a good way to do it. And, January, he was ice cold. He was one of the worst years in the NBA. But, not January, October, November, and then now in December, he's finally getting somewhere with his shooting, and it looks like he's starting to put some things together. So I agree. I think he's got such great talent to him that he just needs to continue working on that shot. Defensively, I love his effort. So I think the Hawks do have a great young core because there are so many of them. It's like casting a wide net,
Well, let me clarify something too. I didn't say that I disagree. I am giving up on Cam Reddish. I just think that Dave was bringing up his 9 games in Decembers, and be like, look at his great shooting percentage, and he isn't even over 40% from the field. I'm just saying, can we get to 40% over the field before we start talking about Cam Reddish is here or anything like that?
It's an improvement. It's an improvement over what he's done before. I'm happy for his improvement.
I guess.
As small as it is, it does mean something. He's trending in the right direction.
So are you going with the Hawks?
No, I'm not going with the Hawks. As much as I love Trae Young as a superstar of the future, he doesn't even exist on the defensive end, so I can't give it to them. I think there are more promising cores out there. I think a lot of longtime listeners who are fans of me and fans of the show would assume that I'm just naturally going to pick the Memphis Grizzlies. They've got my boy John Morant.
No, the Memphis Grizzlies.
The Memphis Grizzlies. They've got my boy John Morant. They have Brandon Clark out there. They got Jaren Jackson Jr., tons of young talent, and I absolutely love that team.
They've got Grayson, too, right?
Grayson Allen, another, so annoying of a player, but he is there. I'm just going to take the smart move here and take the Heat. You guys have amazing young talent with Bam Adebayo. You have Tyler Hero. You also have Justice Winslow on the final year of his current deal. I think this team is so good. And I know Kendrick Nunn technically counts as a rookie, so I'm going to take it. I'm going to absolutely take that. That's why I think this is a young group of guys who is absolutely performing out of their minds, and I'm all in on them.
Here's the thing with at least I think Justice
Is Justice off his deal?
I
Yeah.
think Justice is off his deal.
I was like, he's too old. I looked at that.
He signed a 2-year deal for $26 million, so Justice doesn't even count.
That's fair.
Even if he did count, he's not. This isn't the answer because none of those players are their superstar. At least with John, they have Trae Young, who is their superstar. Bam Adebayo is a fantastic player, but he's not the guy on that team. It's still Jimmy Butler, and I don't think Bam is going to be the guy on that team. Kendrick Nunn has been great for 25 games. Well, let's see him do it for a full season here before we get into that. Tyler Hero's great too, but what type of player is he going to end up being? I don't think they have the star to truly be the young core. And I know immediately when Dave threw that out there, John, you were all up on you thought the Heat were a good choice. Why do you think the Heat are a good choice for a team that could be at least in this conversation for best young core?
Well, in this current NBA, you need one thing, and that's shooters. You have a core with Miami who has Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson.
Oh, Duncan Robinson.
Raised for the kick out.
Forgot about Duncan.
The guy who
raised for the kick out. So just like Jimmy Butler. You add in Jimmy Butler, now I wouldn't say have a contender, but that thing can be replicated in 3 years. You have Hero and Duncan, and you have Bam Adebayo, so all you need is a superstar. Add in one superstar, and they're ready to go. And you have the Miami culture. You have a great head coach. So just, Jimmy, he was traded away. He retires. Somebody else can be attracted to the Heat, come in, and definitely compete for the East.
I completely agree.
I'm not going to give massive credit to Duncan either because, again, he's only played 29 games in his career. I mean, no one knew who Duncan...
flamethrower
we didn't have Duncan Robinson in any of our mock drafts. It's not like...
Yeah, but if you're going to discount Duncan Robinson have potential, you have to do the same thing for Kendrick Nunn.
You have to do the same thing for every rookie.
No, but I did discount Kendrick Nunn. I said I wanted to see a full season out of Kendrick Nunn.
And Brandon Clark are discount too then because they've only played 28 games. You can't take away a rookie's first 28 games. You can't just brush that off when we're talking about young cores. They got 4 years of having Tyler Hero. They got 2 years of Kendrick Nunn, and they still got a couple years of Bam.
Here's what I'll say. I don't discredit Ja and Brandon Clark or any other rookie that you want to throw out there. Yeah. If you want to throw Tyler Hero, I'm not discrediting Tyler Hero because those guys were guys that we had first round grades on. Yep. Those are guys that are not succeeding because of the culture in Miami. Mm-hmm. Those guys are succeeding off of talent. I think Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn are in great spots to succeed, which does help them. They're also older. They're 25 years old. This could be their peaks right now. So I really don't.
It's a pretty good peak.
But so far, I mean, do you think really that it's fair that on 7.2 attempts per game, Duncan Robinson's going to shoot 45% from three?
Insane.
That is insane. I don't think it's because it's so insane. I don't think it's realistic. Kyle Korver wasn't even doing that at his peak. JJ Redick wasn't even doing that at his peak. I don't think it's consistent, and I don't really want to count those guys as a part of the young core because I don't even think Miami thought of them as the young core or part of the young core coming into this year. I think they're in a great spot. I think they're on a great team with a great culture, like John said, but I don't really think it's a part of the core. I think it's more about the culture.
They're playing with a great head coach, the ultimate floor raiser in Jimmy Butler, and they have the work ethic to match it. And I think it's a perfect marriage for them. And I think that, yes, they're in the best situation to succeed, but the fact that they've been able to do this with Jimmy missed a couple games, Justice missed some games, Goran missed some games. They've been plug and play these kind of guys, and it just works for them.
Before we get to back to the key conversation, Ricky, you've been quiet for 11 minutes.
Well,
it's been weird.
Dave,
who you got for your team?
Dave's describing all these great things, and I agree with them. This is what you need in a great young core, but it's the wrong answer. It's not the Miami Heat. It's the team that's a little bit north, a little bit more north than the Miami Heat. They only have 3 guys on the team that are over 30. The rest of their team is 26 and below. They won the champion last year. It's the Toronto Raptors, baby. Fear the North. Fear the North. Siakam is still on his rookie deal. You've got Fred VanVleet leading the team in assists. This is a team that, won the championship last year because of Kawhi. They had Kawhi. But they gained that experience, that playoff experience. And this is a team many people are going to sleep on because, oh no, they lost Kawhi. But Siakam, he's starting the superstar trend him up.
I agree.
Fred VanVleet's now made a jump, and he's not the I don't even want to say prolific. He wasn't the scorer that he was last year in the playoffs. But hey, he's leading the team in assists. And even if I take Marc Gasol, Kyle Lowry, Serge Ibaka off this team, it's not going to hurt them a whole ton. Yeah, it hurts.
I think it hurts them a lot.
It hurts because you need veterans on a team, but like when your entire team is 26 and below,
I get you.
And you're top 4 in the East, I get weak East. Got to throw that out there. Got to put that stamp of approval there. But that's the true best young core in the NBA. It's the Toronto Raptors.
John would have OG and an OB.
OG and only 22.
My boy OG.
Only 22.
I'm just saying, my team's above your team.
Who'd you say? Who was the second name you said, John?
Terrence Davis.
Oh, yeah, he's actually showing up really well right now. No, I get they're good, but, you know, you took the superstar off the team.
Oh, it's only by half a game, too. Yep. We'll do a but it's only by half a game.
Number 3 in the East versus number 5 in the East.
You played one more game and you won.
3 in the East versus 5 in the East. I'm just saying.
I think they're getting carried by their veterans too much to really tell. For me, I can't say they're the best young core because they have so much, not so much, but remember Powell's playing crazy. You still have Marcus Gasol on the pivot. Kyle Lowry's your shot maker. So I don't think Siakam is your superstar, but other than that, I don't think there's enough, minutes that they're dependent upon to make shots and defend for them to compete for the best core. It's a good argument, though.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about the Raptors. So credit to you, Ricky.
Might not win it all this year, but like as they progress and teams get older, they're just going to get better with age. Here's like a fine wine.
Here's my team. We'll throw out all those teams, and then we can mention any other teams we think of as well. But the team that I'm throwing out here is a team that's been talked about already, and I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm keeping it to 3 guys. It's John Morant, it's Brandon Clark, and it's Jaren Jackson Jr. Those guys are, and you could even throw in Josh Jackson if you want to. You could throw in Dylan Brooks is still currently on his rookie deal, but I'm just focusing on the guys that are going to be in the starting lineup for probably 10 years. I don't think you can look at any of the teams that you just said today and be like, those guys are going to be starters on this team for the next 10 years. The Memphis Grizzlies have that right now in those players. Jaren Jackson is a guy that we've seen already be a great defender. He needs to obviously work on the personal foul issues, but now it seems like he's even coming along as a shooter. He's even coming along as an offensive player, and he's still only 20 years old. We look at John Morant. He has issues landing, but everything else has been fantastic so far. He's the leading Rookie of the Year winner right now. And Brandon Clark
He's foul.
He's a star. And even then, Brandon Clark, too. Brandon Clark is probably the 3rd player on this team, but if he's your 3rd player, he's fantastic. He's very reminiscent of Draymond Green. He can set pick and rolls he can set picks like nobody else. He's a great rim runner as well, and he's been growing as a shooter.
Ultra efficient.
And he's been a monster. And you have a guy that's a rookie shooting 72%, I think, true shooting. It's absolutely insane what he can do offensively and defensively. And as a 3rd option, he is fantastic. And they got those 3 guys in 2 years of drafts. 3 picks, two drafts. They killed it. And they absolutely have the best young core. They don't need to draft well anymore in the next 10 years, and they'll still have 3 starters that are still going to be under 30 years old. It's absolutely insane.
I mean, they're a solid group. John, what do you think about the Memphis Grizzlies? I teased it a little, but Sean went in.
Well, John Morant and who's their big?
Jaren Jackson.
I think those 2, as far as like star power, are better than our other examples. I'm leaning towards that argument. That's a pretty good argument. I think they may have the best young core based on those 2 being stars. Because Jaren Jackson's a modern big, and you have John Morant, who's like point god. He can score all 3 levels. He's explosive, and then he just looks like he wants to win. Wants the last shot. He's fast than everywhere else on the court. I think that's a pretty good example.
Also, that dunk, man, that was the coolest thing ever. If he finished it, that would have been so sick.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, he's been phenomenal, and he's got the passing abilities to be a star as well. His athleticism has shown and jumped off the screen. His shooting's been very good so far this year. I don't think that's going to keep up. If I'm gonna discredit, Duncan Robinson at 7.2% or 7.2 attempts per game, I got to discredit Ja at 2.9%. But still, it's been good to see that, and I think that this team. Again, they'll still be able to make additions, and if you want to include Josh Jackson, who's currently playing in their G League, he was a top 5 pick as well, and he's been playing very well in their G League. He's had some off the court issues, but we're talking about # on the court, and he is massively athletic, and he could be a guy that could be interesting for them because He's shown before that he could be a decent defender when engaged, and he might become a decent shooter. He was all right in college. So, I mean, he's a guy that is a mixed bag, but this team just needs to add a dynamic wing, and if they do, this team could be it has the building blocks of a future NBA champion, and I absolutely love what the Grizzlies are doing. Any teams that we haven't mentioned that you think should be in there? I know one team we threw out there were the Boston Celtics. Are we discrediting the Celtics and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown?
I mean, Tatum Brown is an incredible duo, and I think the fact that Kemba has been so pivotal to their growth this year, it kind of does feel, like how much are they the guy? And they're not yet, but I think they both have potential to be that guy on the team. You also have incredible amounts of depth on their team with just young players. You added Carson Edwards, Taco Fall, Romeo Langford, Grant Williams, the Time Lord Robert Williams. Like, there's just so many chances to hit that they've got that it's hard not to love their young core, and a lot of them are getting minutes, so it'll be interesting. I think Tatum's taking a step back, but like he still seems to be getting better somehow. Like his offensive efficiency, I look at it and it's like, all right, the shots you're taking aren't great, but you're getting them to land. He's had some wide variety of when Gordon Hayward's in games, how effective is he versus when he's out. So I think with that team, I kind of lump them all together. That's going to be an awesome group going forward. But if they're going to win a championship, it's going to be on Kemba. It's going to be on, he's the guy that's the difference maker. Mostly we can say that because of Kyrie Irving leaving and what the difference is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, the big one was I like how before the podcast I gave you shit. Where it's like, oh, you can't do Jaylen Brown because he just signed his extension. Well, Pascal Siakam, same thing for me, where he signed that extension, but he's in that last year of his rookie deal. And this kind of shows where it's like young core, you can't do it all on your own.
Yep.
Like how it's like for when I threw out the Raptors. Oh, well, they're 3 old guys are helping them out. Without Kemba, is this team the Celtics team that took LeBron James to 7 games? They haven't really seemed like those guys since they've been that year, and Kemba coming in as help. So it's like it's a really weird balance of like when we're looking at best young core, how much does the veteran help on some of these teams?
A ton.
Like the Heat too.
Yeah.
They got Jimmy G. The Hawks that John threw out there, they don't have no veterans. We talked about it earlier. They gave all their veterans up.
They got Vince Carter, who I love, but he's not able to provide that help. A team that I think that we're maybe sleeping on. Technically the Kings.
I was going to bring them up, but they're not on rookie contracts, so that's why I didn't.
De'Aaron Fox on a rookie deal.
No, but I mean like
Bogdanovich on a rookie deal.
Buddy
Hield is on a rookie deal.
No, he's not.
He's not?
Really?
Yes.
Oh, he was an older college player. That's right.
Yeah. Marvin
I was looking at age.
And I know Harry Joss hasn't played yet, so I won't even whatever that one. But still, I mean, you got Fox, Bogdan, and Buddy Hield all on their rookie deals, and Bagley. So you got 4.
Bogdan might not be on this team next year,
but he's on a rookie deal. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. John, what do you think about maybe the Kings being up there, even though a couple of those guys are older, still technically rookie deals?
No, I don't think they have a chance to be in this conversation. I mean, they're pretty good, but not as good as Grizzlies, Hawks, and Heat.
All right, we've been dancing around the big team, though. The obvious question in the league is the New Orleans Pelicans.
Oh, okay.
I got to discredit them because their biggest piece is injured, and we haven't seen them play yet.
Yeah.
I think if I'm going to discredit Duncan Robinson for his 25 games, I'm going to discredit Kendrick Nunn for his first 25 games. We haven't even seen a game from Zion yet, so I don't think we can even count him, right?
We saw Summer League.
But he's Zion.
We saw Summer League, and then he got injured.
Yeah.
So
he ripped the ball out of Kevin Knox's hands. That's all I needed to see.
I personally cannot count them in this conversation because I really don't think that they have seen their young core yet. John, where do you stand on the Pelicans? Do you count them, although we haven't seen Zion yet?
I think Jackson Hayes has a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that guard they have from Virginia?
Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Nickeil Alexander, I think he's a pretty good player. Zion, obviously. I think they're in the conversation if Zion can stay healthy.
I mean, you got
Frank Jackson.
Frank Jackson.
I love Frank Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
He's just he's one-track minded, going to the rim.
Yeah, he's budget Lou Will, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You still got Lonzo Ball, who had a great game. He's not had a great season so far. I know he's got injury concerns.
Lonzo, he's shown a lot to potential.
Yeah.
I think that Lonzo probably, his ceiling is as high as everyone else's ceiling.
So, I mean,
I really think that because he's, even though the technique is terrible, the 3 ball's been going in a little better. I think that when he learns that floater is like the most underrated shot in the league right now. But if he learns a floater, I think that he could be a really effective big lead guard.
What do you want to see out of this young group, the Pelicans, if Zion comes back this year? I mean, what's the biggest thing that you would say, all right, this team is going to click, this team's young core is going to come together, whether that be from Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Zion playing together? Is there one main thing that you're looking for them to finally be like, all right, this is, there's something here for this team? What do you want to see out of them, when Zion or if Zion comes back?
I'm not one of those guys who fall into the trap of expecting 20-year-olds to be competitive NBA players. I have a lot of patience. I think these guys coming out of college, especially after 1 year, I think patience is needed. We all want them to be superstars. And we look at LeBron, look at examples of people who've done it in their first year, Rose. But I just want them to learn the game, play D, and stay healthy. That's basically it. And also the business aspect comes into it. The roster may not be what it is right now in 2 years. So they need individually get better, and they might not be there in 2 years. That's just, that's the thing, But I think they need to, for just looking at this core, they need to figure out who the starting lead guard is. They have Lonzo on the bench. I think that he can replace Drew Holiday in a couple of years, definitely. And I think Jackson Hayes, gained some weight and, learned to pivot on defense a little better. He's a great shot flyer. He's a great lob guy. I think Josh Hart's very underrated. Zion, just be Zion. I mean, I don't think anybody can – I think we should reserve our expectations for Zion as far as, what's going to be his dominant skill in the NBA. Because there's never been anybody in history of basketball or any other sport who is big and strong and fast as he is. I think he should just find out what his coach is what his strength is going to be, and just do that and just dominate. And I think the rest of the team should build around Zion.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zion's play style is going to dictate a lot. I hope we see him soon so we can figure out, how the BI fit plays alongside him. I think they'll be good, but there's a lot of concerns because of Brandon Ingram using the mid-range a lot to his advantage, and his play style, will it fit well with Zion being, the low post guy that we all expect him to be, just super explosive as an athlete. So I think Zion will play pretty soon, but I mean, it's so hard to benchmark them as a group of young core when we haven't seen this is their final form kind of a deal.
Mm-hmm. Outside of it's. Yeah, I mean, it's just tough because you don't know what they're all going to play cohesively. Maybe Lonzo and Zion work together, but Lonzo and BI don't work together, or BI and Zion don't work together. Where you can make the argument that Memphis is perfectly aligned right now. You have Brandon Ingram who could stretch the floor. You have Brandon Clark who could stretch the floor. You have Jaren Jackson who could stretch the floor. You have Brandon Clark that's so dangerous driving in, off of pick and rolls, running the rim. You have John Morant who's so great at picking apart. Defenses and being able to cut in and out and just even also blow by guys and get to the rim. I think that they mesh so well. Where you have stardom in Toronto, in Pascal Siakam, in Miami, you have guys that are just you have so many guys there,
high level contributors
that are there
at such an early stage.
Yeah, and then Atlanta, you have so many guys that are so highly recruited. You're highly at least sought after, like Cam Reddish, like DeAndre Hunter, like Trae Young, and you even have superstardom there. So I mean, it's a tough conversation. I don't think we're leaving off any other team. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I've got two that are too early to call but are intriguing: the Hornets and the Thunder.
Oh, okay.
The Hornets are one where it's Devonta Graham. We've seen a great season from him so far. But is that going to be him every year? I know that Sean has had that debate. With Dave.
Well, John just said he's going to be fired, right? Mm-hmm. So, John, why do you think Devonta Graham's going to be fired?
He's a ball handler, which means he doesn't need anybody else to get his own shot. He can pass the ball. He's knocking down open threes. He can break down the defense. He just has the intensity you want to build around. He may not be a superstar, but he's going to be a problem for the opposing team every night. True. And there's not, and quiet is kept, the small, ball handlers, you have a Kyrie, you have who's the guy in the Celtics that Kyrie plays?
Kemba.
I have a bad name. Kemba. They're the most difficult players to defend because the whole league went height. Now you have these like 6 foot even guys with this crazy handle. It's hard to stay in front of them.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true.
Yeah, and I mean, like, even though I like what John said, where he's not going to be a superstar, because the guy that I'm expecting to grow into that is Miles Bridges. Like, he's the one, and he's still young. You've got Malik Monk, the moist one, the one that we named Wet Boys. We came up with Wet Boys because of Malik Monk.
He's been pretty moist himself, man. He's been
and then, like, P.J. Washington, Sean's boy, too. Yeah. So it's like, they're really young. And then, like, the Thunder, it's just, like, so much potential. Yeah. Like, they got Shea. They've got Dave's boy and Abdel Nader. Darius Baisley is young. He's your boy because you gave him a Wet Boy this year. Hamidou Diallo. Like, they're also a young team, but it's like a loaded potential team, not a, like, they're ready to strike
Terrence
now.
Ferguson even.
And both these teams are in the playoffs right now, respectively.
My life has been made with John saying that Malik Monk has been the moist one. Man, that's awesome.
P.J. Washington is moist as well.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling. I was trying to tell every single person about him in the draft. I was telling him that everybody should. I thought he was better than Rui.
Fear, though, you know, it's hard to give a guy starting the first 16 minutes of the game when, like, he can be exploited on defense with bigger power forward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not he's going to have a career as long as anybody in the league, but, you know, he's just his body's just a tweener.
Yeah.
If you can shoot, just shoot. They're going to find a place for you in any roster.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and I think he's got, and this might be too high, and I might not remember him too well, but I feel like he's just got, like, a Rashard Lewisness to him. Like, I think he's just got nice length. He's got the ability to, you know, shoot from the outside. He's a smart player. He's a good defender. He knows where to be on the floor. I just really like where he is, and it seems like he's already got, like, a veteran mindset even at 21. And I love the kid. I think he's so great.
Well, along those lines, let me ask you a quick question. How many championships does Robert Horry have?
Robert Horry has 6, I believe. I could be wrong. He might even have 7.
I think that he's a similar player.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
A big guy can knock down an open shot.
Yeah. No, I mean, Horry was like the ultimate mercenary at the end.
7-time champion.
I think he might have a little bit more of a usage than Robert did, but even then, I mean, Robert was a guy that, you know, was absolutely crucial to teams. So I don't think it's a bad comp either. I think that, you know, Robert Horry, you know, Rashard Lewis, Sean Marion, I think those, maybe not as good as Marion, but those type of guys.
I'm gonna backtrack. It says 7, but I'm gonna be honest. I'm going to give him 5.
I think it's 7, though.
It is 7, but the reason why I'm saying 5 is 2 of those were the 90s, 95 and 96, where Michael Jordan wasn't playing, and he was a young player on that Rockets team. So I'm putting asterisks next to those first 2.
But do you remember the Rockets playing then?
Yes, they played very well. They were the best team in the NBA.
No, with Robert Horry, what was his role?
I don't remember Robert Horry's role on the Rockets.
Starting small forward.
Okay.
And then he was the backup center at the same time.
Was he really?
Player.
There's some versatility.
Yeah. When Elijah Wan came back, came out of the game, Robert Horry was defended the other team's center.
John, and this is why I love having you on here. Because, no, it's true. Like, the majority of people who are, you know, NBA fans right now, the vocal group is so recent to the game that they don't have that level of, that depth of knowledge to go back to, this is how it was, this is why you should respect these older players, because they weren't alive, or they weren't watching at that time.
We were 4 and 5, where it was like Michael Jordan, that's who I'm watching.
I watched the Bulls because that's what was on, and I was like 5 years old. But I mean, like, that's awesome to hear that, and I absolutely appreciate that. I've got one question for you guys, though.
Okay.
Should we be worried about the teams who are loaded with young talent, who are just not performing, like the Cavs, like the Knicks? Like, there's 2 teams where the Knicks have a ton of guys on rookie deals, and they all suck. And the Cavs have 2 guys in the backcourt who can't play together.
What do you think about that, John?
The Knicks have a terrible front office and owner. So they're handicapped. Their roster's not built well.
Mm-hmm.
The Cavs, they drafted 2 6'2" point guards that are score first mentality. I like, just you look at the Grizzlies, why they're going to be great, because the talent level is spread out. You have big wing and point. I think the Cleveland is drafting on top of each other. But, you know, I'm not worried about them because they're all young.
Mm-hmm.
But let me throw this out at you guys. We're talking about young cores.
Yep.
Just think of these names. DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, Derek White, Keldon Johnson, Quindary Weatherspoon, and Luka Samanic.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Pretty good, right?
Yeah, they're intriguing. Lonnie's been fun to watch this year.
Quite well.
I just wonder, because all those guys that you named, the only one I think you named that isn't a guard is Luka. So I just wonder, with all those guys being intriguing players, how many truly have been able to rise up above that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think there's a cream of the crop there, and I think that might say, you know, they found a lot of quality players, but I don't know if they found a star. And maybe Lonnie's going to be able to take that step. You know, obviously this is pretty much his first full year, so I would say that, you know, give Lonnie Walker a little bit more time. But I was thinking a little bit about the Spurs. I just wonder, though, that since they are so guard deep there, I do wonder if it does mean if it's quality or not. But then again, it is the Spurs, and they know what they're doing.
And they also don't play their young guys a lot early in their careers, so you know it's an earn it.
Johnson in the G League, which is a travesty.
Yeah,
there's no player in G League. I watched their game. They played the Hawks team, the College Park team the other day. It was on NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Keldon Johnson, unstoppable. If he develops a jump shot, he's unstoppable.
Yeah. No, I mean he was a fun prospect in college, and I'm happy to hear he's doing well in the G League. But I think that's the thing with the Spurs is, like, I've heard a lot of praise about Luka Samanic's game as well in the G League, and I think he's gonna be, you know, absolutely a contributor at the next level at the end of this year or next year. It's just a matter of their roster right now is in a position where, are we going for it? Are we not? What are we doing with our two big names in LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan? There's so much uncertainty and almost a confusion around the direction, especially with Pop at the end of his career. I think this year is just kind of like a toss-up, and all these names we're going to hear them more at the very end of the year or next season. So I think they're like too early to tell quite how good that young core is. I love a lot of those names.
They have enough talent. I think they have some assets.
Yeah.
They have to move two of those players and get one big.
Maybe.
Yeah, and I think, too, just to go back to your question, Dave, a little bit earlier about the Cavs and Knicks, I'm definitely concerned about the Knicks. You know, Mitchell Robinson and R.J. Barrett, I think you have to give them more time.
Absolutely.
But, like, you know, Dennis Smith, Frank Ntilikina, as much as I love him, you got to at least be worried about him, Kevin Knox as well. But at least with the Cavs, I think John made a great point about the fact that it was really the front office that gave them mainly their issues. Colin Sexton seems like, you know, he's a fine player. Like, I think he's going to be a guy that's in the league for a long time.
He's a good two-guard.
I think the same thing could be said for Darius Garland. I think it's too early to write him off, but he also doesn't look bad at all. And then also
he's looked bad. No, he's had a couple of moments where he looked good, but other than that, he's looked bad.
With how many games have been played, games have been played,
he didn't even play last year in college.
I know.
I think there's
I'm not burying the kid day one. I'm just saying that he has not played well at the NBA level.
There's enough sparks there where it's been.
I love Kevin Porter Jr.
There's been inconsistencies that I do think that Garland's been fine enough. But no, I was going to bring up Kevin Porter Jr. Kevin Porter Jr. looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's just great athleticism, great length. We talked about him last year. We had concerns about character possibly and
inconsistency. So it's got a jank to it, but he looks good when he's playing.
So I wouldn't write them off. And also I know he's not technically on his rookie contract, but Chetty, I think we got to give him a shout out. Well, because he's technically still young. So I think there's still.
And don't sleep on my guy Dean Wade.
Oh yeah, Dean Wade from Kansas State.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ricky liked him. I mean,
as a role player,
Yeah.
Big, he could shoot, tough guy inside.
Big issue with him was just injuries in college.
He's slow.
Yeah, he's slow and injuries in college hurt him. Also to throw out Dylan Windler
Kevin
too.
Love can beat you down the court. You're slow.
To throw out Dylan Windler too, their first round pick as well. But yeah.
Can't wait to see him. Is he healthy?
I don't think so. Or he might be in the G League. One of them.
I want to say G League.
I think he's injured. I think John was right. Yeah,
We're
he
all
practiced Sunday, getting close to play. That was December 1st.
Cool.
So he's going to return at some point.
Wonderful.
But yeah, those are young core talk. So John, we want to thank you for being a patron, and thank you for bringing the Hawks to the floor, because I think you made a good point, and it helped out the first or the second topic of this podcast, the fact that even though they might be struggling, the Hawks still do have a bright future, and we don't want that to be lost on any Hawks fans listening.
Cam Reddish turned 20 in September. Remember that.
We will mark you down. We will mark you down for Cam Reddish 2020. If he starts balling out, we'll mention you every single podcast.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thanks, John,
guys.
thanks for being on, and
Always
thanks for being a patron. Appreciate you. If you want to be a patron like John, check out patreon.com/mostvaluedpodcast. That's going to do it for the Fast Break Podcast. For Dave Oster, Ricky Widmer, I'm Sean Anderson. We'll see you next time.